Welcome, everybody, to the Minnesota House of Representatives Transportation, Finance, and Policy Committee for this February 16th, 2021. My name is Frank Hornstein. I'm the chair. Our first item of business will be to take the role of committee members. Mr. Dodge.
Chair Hornstein.
Present.
Vice Chair Cagle.
Present.
Representative Petersburg.
Present.
Representative Barr.
Present.
Representative Bernardi.
Present.
Representative Elkins.
Present.
Representative Frederick.
Present.
Representative Hausman.
Present.
Representative Heinrich.
Present.
Representative Kosnick.
Present.
Representative Mason. Representative Mason. Representative Murphy.
Present.
Representative Nelson.
Present.
Representative Olson.
Present.
Representative Richardson.
Present.
Representative Torkelson.
Present.
Representative West.
Present.
There is a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Dodge. And our next item of business is approval of the minutes from Thursday, February 11th. Representative Petersburg, do you have a motion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move the approval of the February 11th minutes.
Thank you, Representative Petersburg. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, we'll just take this as a voice vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed, the motion prevails.
You're muted, Mr. Chair.
All right, we'll have, I don't know why I do that all the time. Members, we'll have, we have several different items we're going to be talking about today. We have MnDOT will start us off with a very important discussion about trunk highway bonds. This is a very key way that we finance roads and bridges in Minnesota, and we would like to get an update from them about the, well, first of all, just some background information about the trunk highway bond program, and then it's, moving forward, our ability to use that program for specific kinds of needs and projects, and the amount of bonding capacity that we have is going to be important to discuss. After that, we're going to hear from the Department of Public Safety, Driver Vehicle Services, with an update about the MnDrive program. That was the new program that was replacing MnLARS. Very, very critical work that has been done and important for our committee to oversee, in addition to the oversight committee that is statutorily required. And then we have a series of bills, three bills. I have a DVS or DPS policy bill, and then we have a couple of bills from Representative Burkel. So with that, members, I'm going to call on our guests from MnDOT, and I believe the commissioner is with us. And Commissioner Anderson-Kelleher, if you're here, do you want to kick us off on our discussion of trunk highway bonds?
Well, thank you, Chair Hornstein. We are very happy to be with you on this very cold Tuesday. It's hard to imagine, but soon construction season will be upon us again. And today we'll give you an update on our trunk highway bond position. As we have, many members know, but for some of you, this will be new information. We do have a limit to how much of the MnDOT funds go into covering trunk highway bonds. So that's one of the things we want to talk about today. We'll also go through a little bit about how general obligation bonds are used with MnDOT as well. We occasionally do need geo bonding, and our local communities often need geo bonding because the trunk highway bond cannot be used by a local unit of government in the same way as MnDOT unless it's on a trunk highway. So today I have with me our budget director, Josh Knatter-Hubinger, and Josh is going to deliver much of the presentation. I will stay with you though, because I I am going to probably chime in a couple of places here about context for everyone on the committee and those listening. So Josh, do you want to begin? And thank you for preparing this presentation. I've been through this presentation. It's excellent, members. It's 12 slides long.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks, Commissioner. For the record, I am Josh Knatter-Hubinger, Budget Director at MnDOT. Like the Commissioner mentioned, I'm going to go through a very brief overview. So I think it's actually 11 slides. So we'll go through this fairly quickly, and I think there's a little time at the end, Chair Hornstein, for questions, I believe.
Yeah, that would be great. You can proceed.
All right, thank you. So just a quick reminder. So we're talking about trunk highway bonding and for just how it fits in the overall picture. This is the most of the transportation funding goes through the Highway User Tax Distribution Fund. So this is where those constitutionally dedicated revenues like gas tax and registration tax goes. And you can see the amounts for fiscal year 20 in those blue boxes at the top. And then they flow through a formula prescribed in the Constitution, which are the purple boxes at the bottom. And so you can see of all the money that goes in the HUTD fund, about $2.4 billion in fiscal year 20. The trunk highway fund in the bottom left corner gets 62% of 95% of those revenues. That was about $1.4 billion in fiscal year 20. And so when we're talking about trunk highway bonds, that is used as a financing tool to support the trunk highway fund portion here. So it would be in addition to that $1.4 billion of tax-related revenue. It's on top of that. So there are two distinct but related types of bonds that we at MnDOT typically receive. There are general obligation or GO bonds, and these can be used for whatever purpose is specified in law. And so typically we receive these types of bonds for local roads, local bridges, our modal areas like airports and transit facilities. And then there's a more distinct version of GO bonds, general obligation trunk highway bonds, which must be used for a trunk highway purpose. And these have a separate article in the Constitution. Just like our kind of regular trunk highway funds, they must be used for a trunk highway purpose. There's some gray areas for what they can be used for kind of at the margins and how trunk highway bonds and GO bonds interact. In some cases, like an interchange where there's a local road and a trunk highway, there's some challenges for what type of bond is eligible for what specific purpose. But in general, if it's a trunk highway bond, it's for the trunk highway. And all bonds are 20 years. The principal amount that gets repaid is the same every year of those 20 years. And so the piece that varies each year is the interest. And the bond program in general is largely managed by our friends at MMB. So for trunk highway bonding, again, must be for a trunk highway purpose. The big distinction beyond that is that the debt, so for GO bonds, the debt is repaid by the state general fund. For trunk highway bonds, the debt is repaid by the trunk highway fund. So that's a big distinction to remember. This is financing, not funding. So this is a great source of money to deliver projects, but that debt has to get repaid by the trunk highway fund. And so on the screen right now, this is just a list of some of those specific authorizations we've received since 2008. It's become a very significant source of financing over the last decade or so. So kicked off with that Chapter 152 program back in 2008 that went along with a gas tax increase and a registration tax increase. In that same bill, there was $1.8 billion authorized in trunk highway bonds, with $600 million of that for a bridge program after the 35W bridge collapse. And you can see since then some kind of smaller authorizations over the years. Starting in 2013, there was $300 million authorized for the Corridors of Commerce program. And that's since become a significant recipient of trunk highway bonding. So again, in 2017, we received $940 million in authorizations. And of that $940 million, another $300 million for Corridors of Commerce. In 2018, another $400 million, all for Corridors of Commerce. And then most recently, this past October, we received another $300 million for 5 different programs. So some money for rail grade crossings at trunk highways, $84 million for state road construction, some money for our truck station facilities, some money for flood mitigation, and $25 million for project development. So again, in total, about $4 billion over the last decade or so, with $1 billion of that being specifically for quarters of commerce. This is just to give a sense of specifically for state road construction. That's largely what these trunk highway bonds are used for. And this is just to give a sense of how that trunk highway bonding compares to our normal state road construction appropriation that's funded via those HUTD revenues and federal funds. So the blue bar is our kind of normal cash funded program in the trunk highway fund, right around $1 billion most years. And you can see the orange bars are the additional funds that were spent in trunk highway bonds. And so that percentage has bounced around all over the place over the last 10 years or so. You can see 10 to 30% depending on the year. But again, a pretty significant addition to our state road construction base. Kind of in the mechanics of how the bond process works. So once the legislature authorizes bonds, the process for using those bonds, we work with MMB, and typically 1 to 2 times a year, most often it's in August, we work with them to estimate the cash needs from those bonds for the upcoming fiscal year, and then sell just that amount of bonds. And so just a big distinction, if we receive of that $300 million we received last October, we won't actually sell bonds connected to that $300 million until next summer. And so there's sometimes a disconnect between when we start using the funds and the kind of cash behind the scenes of actually selling the bonds. And so in that most recent sale back in August of 2020, we sold $152 million, and that's a mix of all those outstanding balances from these authorizations over the years. So it's based on how much we think we'll need for each project within each of those authorizations. So again, sold about $150 million, really great interest rates, 1.26% in this last bond sale, which was the lowest in over a decade. Really great news there. And because of those low rates, MMB also refunded some existing debt, about $344 million, which saved us about $57 million in our debt service payments for fiscal years 21 and 22. So $57 million that directly impacts the bottom line in the trunk highway fund. And the link on the document is there's a big document that goes with each one of these bond sales with lots of background information and detail on that bond sale. So where we're at with what's left, now just to distinguish again, the first column is what in total was authorized by the legislature, by the session law and chapter. In some cases that includes some cancellations. If we don't use all the bond funds, then that small balance gets canceled. The remaining amount in this case is the authorized but unissued. So these are the amount of bonds we have not sold yet. And so that's kind of a distinction, and without trying to confuse too much, just as an example, that line 2017 for Chapter 3, $940 million plus the issuance costs for MMB, the $941 million. We have sold a little over $300 million of that $941 million. We've actually already encumbered more like $600 million. We just haven't sold the bonds connected to those projects. So we're pretty far along in which projects will be using that money. We haven't necessarily sold all of the bonds connected to those projects yet. So the bond sale process is more drawn out than the committing money to specific projects. So there's just a disconnect there to be aware of. So of all the money that's outstanding, we have a little over $1.3 billion in bonds that we have yet to sell. And the other piece to point out is it happened in Chapter 152. Those bonds were spread out originally over 10 years and then were amended to be spread out over 8 years. The 2017 bonds are spread out in terms of the authorization between fiscal years 18 and 21. So we just now, about 6 months ago, were able to access some of those funds. And that's also the case for those 2018. 400 million of that 417 million are for quarters of commerce, but they're not authorized until fiscal year 22. So we can't use any of that money until next fiscal year, which is why you see such a large balance, even though the law that authorized them was back in 2018. And just quick going through some of the numbers for the repayment piece for the debt service. So this is what the dollar amount of the debt service transfer that's coming out of the Trunk Highway Fund has been for fiscal years 18, 19, and 20, and then the forecast amounts for fiscal years 21 through 25. And the red line is the previous forecast from the end of session, and you can see the big dip for the November forecast for fiscal years 21 and 22. That's those interest savings from refinancing that debt. And you can see quite a bit of savings in 21 and 22, but overall that debt payment still projected to grow and peak out in fiscal year 25 at $279 million. And so just over a little bit of a longer trend, you can just see the debt percentage as a total of the Trunk Highway Fund. So how much that debt transfer is of the total uses has grown over time as bonding has become a bigger source of financing. So more like 5% back in 2012, it's grown all the way up to about 13% in 2025. And we do have a debt service policy, very similar to other states that have similar policies. And our specific policy is that the debt payment in any given year can't exceed 20% of our annual state revenues in the Trunk Highway Fund. So the one thing it does not include that's a significant source of revenue are the federal funds we get from Federal Highway Administration. And so you get that red line is that 20%, and the blue line is just detailing what the percentage is currently and projected. And so right now our projected peak against that 20% policy limit is out in fiscal year 24, a little over 17%, again in that kind of $280 million range. And if you do the math, that 3% difference right now would say we have bonding capacity of another $460 million. And just the reminder for that $460 million, that's how much we can afford compared to the debt service policy. We also need to have Trunk Highway Fund balance to be able to repay that debt, which because of the impacts of COVID-19 and some other reasons, that would be more of the challenge right now in terms of capacity, is on the having the money available to repay the debt. On the policy side, we have a little bit more capacity. And I believe this is my last slide. Just wanted to quick cover the debt service surcharge. So we have a motor fuel tax of 28.5 cents in Minnesota. Hasn't changed since that Chapter 152 law back in 2008 that was phased in over a couple years. That 28.5 cents includes a 3.5 cent debt service surcharge. And so what that surcharge exists for is to repay the 1.8 billion in Chapter 152 bonds, and it's only for the Trunk Highway portion. So for counties and cities, that 3.5 cent debt service surcharge functions just like the normal gas tax. For the Trunk Highway Fund, at least in terms of math, that portion is dedicated to repaying that 1.8 billion in debt. And once that's done, then that surcharge, as it's currently written in statute, would go away. Now, a big issue in terms of the Trunk Highway Fund is that Trunk Highway portion of the debt service surcharge is not sufficient between now and 2039, which is the year specified in statute, to repay all the estimated needs of the Chapter 152 debt. So right now, that gap between those debt service surcharge revenues and projected debt for 152 is a little over $400 million. And that's just for Chapter 152. So that gap is even bigger if you include all those other bond authorizations we've received since. And just for context, to eliminate that gap, if that surcharge was 0.7 cents, so just a little under a penny more each year, that $409 million gap would completely go away. If that surcharge covered all existing debt over the life of the bonds, it would need to be another 4.3 cents on top of that 3.5 cent surcharge. And that is all I have.
So, Mr. Chair, if I could, before you go to questions, I think the easiest way to understand this is that when the legislature does propose, and if the governor signs trunk highway bonds into law, it does take away from MnDOT's ability to put that money towards maintenance and operations and preservation, something that you have all told us is very important. And so why are those slides at the end so important? It tells you how much of the cash in the Trunk Highway Fund is currently being utilized for debt payment. And debt is an absolutely terrific tool to use from time to time. When we get this close to that debt service limit, up to 17.4%, not leaving a lot of room, it leaves us less flexibility for what you all may want to do, as well as what your constituents want you to do. And so I share that with you because I think the important point here, as Mr. Kanader-Hubinger said earlier, this is a finance tool. It's not a funding tool. And sometimes I think folks may get a little confused that we're actually funding a transportation system by the use of capital funds. We are really financing a way to deliver on a number of types of projects around the state. And if you took only one thing from this presentation today, it would be that. This is a finance tool, not a funding tool. And we only have a certain amount of dollars and resources coming in to MnDOT to be able to utilize. So I think that we can probably, if you have questions, Mr. Chair, ready, we're happy to stand for those questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Anderson Kelleher. We do have questions. I have Representative Petersburg and Representative Hausman, but before I call on Representative Petersburg and Representative Koznick, but before I call on these three members, I do want to remind members that Mr. Lee and Mr. Burris have also prepared fantastic memos and briefs on this topic. They're in your packets. We've also posted them to our website here. And, you know, I would actually, if Mr. Lee or Mr. Burris would want to add anything to the presentation so far, please feel free to interject at any time. I'm gonna, so we have 4 questions and then we're gonna have to just finish at those 4. So it's Representative Petersburg in this order: Representative Petersburg, Hausman, Koznick, and Mason. Representative Petersburg, you're first up. And unmute, please.
Sorry about that. I didn't want to interrupt you earlier.
Okay.
I did want to just kind of, for the new members that may not be aware of it, there are a couple other distinctions between general obligation bonds out of general fund as well as trunk highway bonds. The general obligation funds out of general fund can't be used for anything that can be classified as trunk highway project. So that's a big distinction. And of course, trunk highway can't be used for anything else other than trunk highway things. But the other difference is how that they are passed and approved. The general obligation bonds require the 60%, 60 whatever percent it is to pass them, whereas trunk highway bonds can be passed with just a standard majority, which means that it can be included, and it has been in the past. Trunk highway bonds have been included in the actual omnibus bill. So those are kind of big distinctions. I had one question though. I thought in slide 9, the debt service was only 13%, but in slide 10, it showed it as 17%. Maybe I missed it and didn't understand that distinction. Well, what is the difference between those 2 slides?
Josh, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yep, happy to respond, Mr. Chair. So the distinction is, I'll bring the, maybe I can share that just real quickly so you can see this again. So it's just looking at it in 2 different ways. So slide 10 is what we typically use. So this is the percentage as compared to that 20%. This is percent of revenue, and it's just state revenue. So a big piece that's not included in our policy are federal funds. The previous slide was kind of on the uses side. If you include all the money that gets spent out of the trunk highway fund, which would include those federal funds, what percent of that spending is just the debt service payment? And so conceptually, it's the same thing as the policy over time. It's just including spending federal funds as well, which is why it's lower.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Petersburg. Representative Hausman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just got one of my answers from Representative Petersburg that trunk highway bonds do not require a supermajority like GO bonds. the other similar question to that, if bond funds, trunk highway bond funds aren't encumbered in 4 years, are they canceled? With GO bonds, they're automatically canceled if they're not encumbered in 4 years. It almost looked like one went all the way back to 2008. So we never canceled them.
Mr. Nadeau-Hubinger, did you want
Sure.
to?
Yep, I can take that one too. So, Representative Hausman, so the same rules apply. So it's still, they must be encumbered within 4 years of that authorization or they cancel. But for some of those authorizations, the actual dollar amounts were spread out over multiple years. And so like for Chapter 152 as an example, the law that authorized them was back in 2008, but it was actually in discrete chunks between 2009 and 2016. And so that small balance that's left is the small portion of 2016 funds that we have not sold bonds for. We've encumbered all of them. We just haven't sold the bonds for the cash needs yet.
And then is there a regional breakdown about where the money goes, trunk highway bonds?
So we do have some of that information available and we can share that if needed. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hausman. Representative Koznick.
Thank you, Chair Hornstein, and good to see you back. Just a quick question, kind of along with Representative Hausman, looking at the slide number 7, the 2017, 18, and 20, we have 1.3 billion in remaining bonds approved, and I'm wondering if, Commissioner, how is the industry prepared to handle building all that out? And I'm kind of sensing from page 11 and other conversations, kind of a push to increase the gas tax or add some sense to the gas tax to pay down some of this debt. But I'm wondering, is the industry prepared to build out the road, 1.3 billion already sitting ready to go or approved? How does that work, the timing of some of that stuff? And is there a need for additional debt service in the gas taxes if that's what you're advocating for?
Commissioner, do you want to take that?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Representative Koznick. Your mic was going a little bit in and out, but I think I got the whole thing. And so if we, I don't think, Josh, we have to put up the slide, but the basic point here on that $1.342 billion is that most of that is already designated towards a project or projects. And so it's not, it may not be that a project is happening in the construction season of 21, but it could be happening in the construction season 24. We don't necessarily, what our budget director was telling you is we don't necessarily need the sale of that bond fund to happen while doing the work on the project to get it ready for actual construction. So hopefully that helps. So that 1.3, we can get you the breakdown for certain in terms of what's obligated out of that 1.342. The main point to say is that we don't go out and sell all the bonds that we have available to us, because then we'd have to start paying back that interest, right? And we only want to do that in a just-in-time sort of scenario. I think the reason that we share with you the debt service fee is that currently there is a debt service fee of 3.5 cents. And even that will not cover all of the debt on those Chapter 152 bonds. And if you look behind me in my picture, that is the beautiful Hastings Bridge that I think was one of the most recent completions with those Chapter 152 bonds. So we bring that to you as something that members have talked about, both in the House and Senate in the past, is whether that 3.5 cent debt service fee should be extended out. Should you consider other ways of doing that, but to have the information of what would it take to eliminate all of that debt, which I think is something that might be needed at some point. Obviously, there's a wise use of debt in our industry and our sector. And then if we get too high on the debt, there are a few states out there that didn't have this sort of debt policy. And some of them are eating 40 to 50% of their operating dollars that come in. And I don't think any of you want us to do that. So that's, I think the main point here is that unlike the GO bonds, that when you pass with that 2/3 majority, those general obligation bonds, the funding to repay those bonds is directly appropriated into that bill. Here, it's a little, it's not, you're not, when you're doing the trunk highway bond, you are not appropriating the dollars for repayment. We are taking that out of what's coming in through the trunk highway fund. I hope that helped.
Thank you, Commissioner. And Representative Koznick, if you have a quick one, because we have one more question, then we have to move on in our agenda.
Yeah, real briefly. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Commissioner, maybe if you could get us the schedule of that remaining 1.3 to kind of see how many years out we're doing it. And my question was kind of more towards, can the road building partners and industry handle oncoming, if we were past more? And we could talk about that offline because I know we have a busy agenda, but that would be helpful to get that schedule.
That's an excellent question, Representative Koznick, and members. That this is really this is such an important topic, and I consider this sort of trunk highway bond 101. And again, our staff is our nonpartisan staff. We can really lean on them as well for questions. And again, I want to thank them for their excellent preparation for this hearing as well. So our last question is from Representative Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To the testifiers, you had mentioned that the interest rates are really low. And so my question, just out of curiosity, if the interest rates are really low right now, but my guess is construction rates are increasing. So are we any further ahead, or is just everything balancing out?
That's a great question.
Mr. Chairman, that is a great question. Could I will help.
You can handle that one.
I'll start. So first of all, to Representative Koznick's point about the construction industry, I think for what we have in outstanding bonds, absolutely the industry can handle what is in outstanding bonds. It would take a significant increase beyond probably what anyone would imagine in terms of an infusion of cash into MnDOT to actually create the scenario where the current horizontal construction industry and highway heavy industry could not handle the amount that's out there. So they absolutely are planning for this 1.342 billion. And I just want to assure you, they're actually, I think you'll hear from them from time to time, quite hungry for more. And so that's important. Now, to Representative Mason's point, Mr. Chair, one of the things that I learned very quickly becoming Commissioner of Transportation is the construction inflation index. And if we look at the construction inflation index, members and Mr. Chair, you will see that it is by far outpacing normal inflation. It has a lot of caveats to it, and we certainly can provide you with some more information. In fact, it's one of the things that we are discussing with our federal advocacy organization for federal reauthorization, that we would very much appreciate if people started to peg off of the CCI instead of the general inflation index. We've had years where our construction costs have, because of labor pressures, because of commodity pressures, because of schedule, we see that in some cases that has been moving much more quickly and fast than the regular inflation rate. So we will get that to you, Mr. Chairman and members. We actually have looked at this a lot. with and it is a question about when the legislature acts on these things, should they be taking into account the CCI instead of regular inflation? And I think from a professional standpoint, from the Department of Transportation standpoint, we would say, yes, you should be looking at CCI instead of regular inflation.
Thank you, Commissioner, so much. I really appreciate your presence here today, as well as Mr. Nadrud Rubinger. And, this is an ongoing discussion. We will be returning to it, I'm sure, as we put together our bill next month. But this was a really important primer, both for returning and new members of the committee. So I thank you so much, Commissioner, and we look forward to our ongoing conversation about trunk highway bonds.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, members.
So members, now we're going to turn to another important agency that our committee has oversight, Driver and Vehicle Services, which is a department of, housed within the Department of Public Safety. And as I mentioned earlier, and I want to just recognize Representative Torkelson, and his efforts over the years. I think he was one of the first people in the legislature to, raise some of the, well, actually, he was one of the first in the most recent iteration of MNLAR's problems to really sound the alarm that things needed to change. But the issues with MNLARs went back really even to the Pawlenty administration. And so I think members of both parties, transportation chairs of both parties, I remember Representative Beard grappling with this, Representative Kelly, myself. There were ongoing issues with MNLARs. And so in the last biennium, Representative Torkelson, myself, Senator Newman, and others worked with the governor to transition from MNLARs to a new system called MnDrive. And we're going to hear a little about how that transition is going right now. But I wanted to make sure that members also knew that as a result of the enabling legislation to start MnDrive, to make this transition from MNLARs to MnDrive, there was a requirement that we have legislative oversight, because that was somewhat lacking the first time around with MNLARs. And so Representative Torkelson and I and others sit on the oversight committee. We meet periodically. We're likely going to meet here in the next few weeks, coordinating that with Senator Newman. But absent that oversight, I thought it was really a committee meeting. I thought it was really important for this committee to get an update. And of course, there are a lot of issues related to licenses and registration that come up in this committee. So we're going to spend here a little bit of time, 15 minutes or so, just again to get that brief MnDrive 101, if you will, an overview of this program, how it's performing so far. And of course, that will potentially prompt other discussion in the committee as we move forward into March and April. So with that, I believe we have Emma Corey, the Director of Driver and Vehicle Services from the Department of Public Safety with us. And Ms. Corey, welcome back to the committee. It's always wonderful to see you. And we appreciate your work so much, particularly in these difficult times. And let's have our MnDrive update.
Thank you so much, Chair Hornstein. Good morning, members. Appreciate this time. My name is Emma Corey, and I am the Driver Vehicle Services Director, and it is a pleasure to be able to share this update, very encouraging update about Minnesota Drive with you today. Let's move to the next slide. I will spend most of my time on this particular slide. In 2019, as you are aware, the Blue Ribbon Council on IT did a wonderful job of making a recommendation for us to go forward with a vendor and off-the-shelf software to replace MNLARs. Legislation was passed in the spring of 2019, and on August 10th, 2019, we awarded the contract to Fast Enterprises, a company that has a proven solution in more than 11 states across the nation. Again, a tested and tried product. Between August 2019 and November 2020, when we launched the system. Again, a very targeted and a collaborative approach. I want to actually start with what Chair Hornstein talked about, and that was at the heart of perhaps some of the concerns in the past with MNLARS. Certainly with Minnesota Drive, what we have had throughout this process is a strong oversight and governance structure. The oversight committee that is co-chaired by Representative Hornstein and Senator Newman is a group that has been watching this work and has championed this work and has walked alongside us during this time when we developed the system. Again, along with that, we had groups like the DVESC, the Executive Steering Committee, that had industry partners, that had business partners, like like MARTA, when you talk about the Dealers Association, the Deputy Registrars Private and Public Association. So the oversight of this project from day one to launch was alongside with the support, the guardianship, and the accountability that came with that oversight from both legislative, non-legislative, staff, leadership, state partners, and industry partners. We took a very targeted collaborative approach. We're not talking about consulting with the deputy registrars. The deputy registrars were part of our staff, part of our project team with state.mn.us emails. They were part of the Minnesota Drive team. 4 deputy registrars, 1 member from the Dealer Association were part of the project team that worked side by side with DVS, that worked side by side with FAST, that worked side by side with Minute to design, to develop, to implement, and now to enhance the program as we move forward. Again, stakeholder input and engagement, not just the deputy registrars. We're talking about regular meetings with law enforcement because our systems impact their work. We were interfacing with not just the business partners and those directly that we are serving, but we were also consulting with law enforcement so that we were baking their needs into the system as we developed and designed it. So again, a lot of thought, a lot of collaboration, a lot of hard work, and I would say heart that went into developing Minnesota Drive. Again, unplanned COVID. COVID came in the heart of our development. We had to pivot from a high-touch model of training for the new system to a completely offline, hands-off, online, on-demand option for training. So we had to train all of our DVS employees. We had to train all of our deputy registrars and DL agents. We had to train all of our dealers. And we did that in the heart of COVID. Between June and November, we went from classrooms that had been booked for training, classroom training, to online, on-demand, from your home computer available training. So certainly that was a major pivot, and all the partners that I just mentioned played a role in participating. That training has, oddly enough, had some long-term good benefits that came out of COVID, and that is we now have training that can be used and adapted into the future as new employees come in for just-in-time training on the system. That pivot also involved assessments to assess people's knowledge of the system. So those were benefits, unplanned benefits that came out of going to an online on-demand training model. Again, these partners did that together and informed that process together. FAST provided online, when I look at the options that were available to deputy registrars as we were rolling out the system. They had self-service support tools. They had a live WebEx chat. They had standard phone support. They had weekly live WebEx sessions, email support, and virtual desk side support. So there was baked into this process a level of efficiencies, but also high level of focus on customer service. November 16th, Minnesota Drive launched successfully, giving us now one system of record for all driver services as well as vehicle services. We launched the system on time, within scope, and under budget. On that first day of operations, November 16, 2020, we had 21,000 transactions and almost $3.2 million in taxes and fee collections that happened on that first day of operations. It was a successful launch of the system. If we can shift to the next slide, please. Again, when we think about benefits and efficiencies of the Minnesota Drive system, I want to speak to that from the lens of our customers who we exist to serve, our business partners like deputy registrars, but also industry partners like our dealers, the Minnesota Trucking Association, the Minnesota Dealers Association, and as well as on the driver's side. And then, of course, from a DVS perspective. Some of the points that I want to focus on here when we talk about benefits to customers, when it comes to the new system, we are certainly talking about shorter and quicker turnaround times for titles, for driver's licenses. We are talking about improved accuracy. So when you hear from your partners or from staff that we are putting in a lot of data, we've got a lot of questions, well, when you want a system that has good data, you must put in good data. And so we are right now in the process of the biggest drawback with MinLars was poor quality data. The integrity of the data was just not there. And what we are building with Minnesota Drive is one system of record for drivers, vehicles, all of that in one system of record and improved accurate data. We're also talking about an evolving technology platform. So again, with Minnesota Drive, we have, as I said, about 11 other states that we can learn from, that we can help work with to face up to evolving technology in the future. The system that we put in place is the core FAST solution. As you know, thank you to you. You put some parameters in place for us ahead of time. You said no customization. That was a brainstorm on your part, because that core solution, when it comes to upgrades and sync pads and facts and kind of improving the system, we're talking about a system that is working, that is being enhanced across the country, and that we can benefit from into the future as well. So again, when it comes to deputy registrars, we, as you know, and with your blessing, we provided a scanner to every deputy registrar in the state of Minnesota. Scanning of documents means real-time access to those documents. Less mailing of documents to DVS by our deputy registrars. Saving on that. Real-time data. Real-time status. If deputy registrars are wondering where that vehicle title is, the system will tell them where that title is in the process, because we now have that within the system. We're talking about partners that have been involved with the entire design, implementation, and ongoing improvements to the system. Again, we're talking about deputy registrars for the longest time in the past have had to make one deposit for driver transaction dollars, and one deposit for vehicle transaction dollars. With one system of record, they're talking about one deposit, bank deposit at the end of their day for all DVS transactions. Again, from a DVS perspective, as the owners of the system, as the responsible parties, we are talking about a system that will increase productivity, not just with our own staff, but also with our deputy registers. We're talking about higher accountability. And we're also talking, as I said, about the evolving technology and being able to provide online options, self-service options, and an extended menu in the future. Let's go into the last one, and this is what's next. Basically, phase one that we rolled out with the launch on November 16th was about 80% of Minnesota Drive. We have about 20%, which is tied to the prorate functions, the International Fuel Tax Agreement, International Registration Plan. We will be working very closely with our partners, like we did with Scott Lambert for dealers. In this case, it will be John House Lawton for the trucking industry. So the 20% is phase two. We are looking forward to, by the end of March, we will decommission MNLARS completely, and we will be able to add prorate functions by October of 2021. At that point of time, Minnesota Drive, the project will be 100% complete. We will move to more of an ongoing support and maintenance structure. We expect and anticipate continuing to work. At the current time, we meet with our deputy registrars on a monthly basis to get their input on feedback and improvements to the system. That will continue well into the future. And as we move forward, we also expect to be able to enhance the customer service that all Minnesotans should expect from us. We expect to be able to also provide the support that our business partners need as an extension of our service. So again, one more set of numbers that I want to just quickly send out to you. Since we launched on November 16th, we have processed 320,000 vehicle renewals in the new system. Over $80 million has gone through the new Minnesota Drive system since November 18th. We have processed 96,000 dealers. Dealers have processed 96,000 VTAP transactions. This is moving away from paper permits to online access to permits. So that is the power of the Minnesota Drive system in the short, 3 months that we have had it up and running. So I will stop there, Chair Hornstein, for questions.
Thank you so much, Ms. Corey. Thank you for your work. And we have 2 questions already. Representative Elkins and then Representative Torkelson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Corey, during the transition period, I was, fielding a number of complaints from people who had kind of routine things, but things that would have required manual intervention. So there were problems involving the misclassification of a vehicle or an incorrect VIN number, the kinds of things that were serious problems in MNLARS. And but during the transition, these kinds of things would still require some manual intervention. I know that last year we provided some funding for your office to be able to staff up in anticipation of these kinds of things. So are we getting to a point where these kinds of things, we're working them down and the response time on routine manual interventions are okay? And then can you comment also just in general about, we staffed up ramped up the staffing. I assume we're probably winnowing it down now, but talk to that as well.
Ms. Corey.
Chair Hornstein, Representative Elkins, thank you. Yes, certainly. We have the approach that we are taking with workforce and staffing is any opportunity to add staff, we are focusing on cross-training of staff. So the complement of staff that we have added are cross-trained to be able to manage the peaks and valleys. So if we have the peaks with driver's licenses, they are able to help with issuing of driver's licenses. If the peak is with vehicle registrations and the kinds of edits that you talked about, the staff are able to pivot and help with that. So that is a workforce, the staffing strategy that we have been taking, same way for driving examiners and inspectors, vehicle inspectors. So yes, we are taking that approach to be able to provide the manual intervention, but I'm happy to also say that the way the FAST solution works is it has those automatic stops that by essence provide and ensure good data the first time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Frederick. Can I ask a quick follow-up?
Very quickly, and then we'll go to Representative Torkelson and then Representative Petersburg, and then we'll move on to our bills. Representative Elkins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So now that the system's been live for a month or two, what are you seeing in terms of changes in the balance of the workload between the front office stuff being done at the registrar's office and the dealers and the back office workload within your group?
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Corey.
Thank you, Representative Hornstein, Representative Elkins. Yes, we are certainly seeing some shift in traditional duties.
Yep.
Definitely. So for example, when our deputy registrars are scanning in documents, so we are at real time, that is available to us. We're not waiting for that delay of data coming in. So there is going to be an immediate, there's certainly an impact there. Yes, there is also a learning curve. So everybody is learning the system right now, right? Our deputy registrars are learning the system. Our staff, issuing staff are learning the system. Our calls, those that take calls are learning how to reference the new system. So yes, there are, for example, another piece that is huge. I mentioned about 96,000 VTAP, the virtual, let me make sure I say this right, the vehicle title application permits that the dealers are putting in. That is work that the deputy registrars now do not need to do because the dealers are putting that information in. And when you drive out with that car is already in your name in the system before you even go into a deputy registrar office. So yes, those traditional roles of who was putting in information and double entry of information. So for example, even in phase two, the double entry of vehicle registrations will be completely eliminated with the system. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, so the point I was getting at, Mr. Chair, is that over time here, we are going to want to look at, how the workload is balancing and how the compensation perhaps ought to follow the workload. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a good question, Representative Elkins. And again, we'll be, as we put together our bill, I think that'll be an opportunity to explore that further. We have Representative Torkelson and then Representative Petersburg, and then we'll move on from there to our bills. Representative Torkelson, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Commissioner Corey, for your presentation. You have no idea how nice it is to hear a positive report about driver and vehicle services. It was a long time coming, as you may well know. But I do want to focus just very briefly on an issue area where we've been having some difficulty, and that's the issue of testing. Scheduling tests, getting examiners on location. What's the current status of that, and how do you expect to handle that this coming summer when things start ramping up again?
Ms. Corey.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chair Hornstein, Representative Torkelson. Yes, when it comes to efficiencies with testing, we, of course, the Minnesota Drive system, I wish it could, but it cannot give road tests. So that will continue to be a very manual process, right, for our examiners. But when it comes to setting up appointments, yes, you know, because of a platform like Minnesota Drive, we were able to, within days, within 7 weeks, roll out the online knowledge test, right? And so online renewals, when it comes to appointments for road tests, yes, that has built some efficiencies. So when it comes to summer, yes, we are planning. Summer comes each year, and that hike comes as well. COVID allowed us to do a forced pilot. This past year, believe it or not, Representative Torkelson, we did more Class D tests than we did any of our recent years. We did more tests in the heart of COVID with a concentrated, focused model of service delivery than we have prior to. And that was, at times, we were battling 1/3 less staff because of COVID impacts. So I think the efficiencies with the system, the focus of a consolidated model, the focus on health and safety, and then, of course, working with our partners and the opportunities with Minnesota Drive are all helping those efficiencies. We will be ready for this summer.
Representative Torkelson, did you have a quick follow-up at all, or can you unmute Representative Torkelson?
You can't read my lips, I know. The number of locations available for testing, there was some restriction on that. Do you tend to open up more locations this year?
And briefly, Ms. Corey.
Yes, 26 locations. Our intent is to have 30 locations open by summer.
Okay, thank you. And Representative Torkelson, thank you. And again, I just want to again give Representative Torkelson a shout out for he's just done a lot of work on this over the years and really helped shape this transition. So Representative Torkelson, thank you again for that. Representative Petersburg for a last question. Actually, I have a very brief one too after Representative Petersburg, and then we'll move on to Representative Burkel's bills. Representative Petersburg.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And this goes back to just recently, the the Office of Legislative Auditor, actually put together a review of the MnDrive system and was pretty much very complimentary on it. But there were 3 areas that I picked up as maybe things that we need to still consider. And so I just wanted to highlight them and see if you have any thoughts about them. One was in regards to the workload of deputy registers per transaction, as compared to prior to MNLARS, it certainly has been an increase. And so they're concerned about whether or not the compensation for them is adequate. Second question that they had that I caught was that we need to have ongoing maintenance of this program, and FAST still hadn't been contracted yet. Maybe you've done that since then, but I think that was a concern they had. And then, of course, the third one was with the rollout of Real ID now being pushed back a year, we had appropriated extra funding for overtime and so forth for people to get involved with that. That ended January 31st. Now with this extension being until the end of this year, are we short funds there, and are we going to need some more overtime appropriation there? Those are the 3 questions, and then I can be done, Mr. Chair.
That's great. No, those are excellent questions, and I'm glad you mentioned that auditor's report. Ms. Corey, briefly, those 3 questions, I don't know if did you note all 3 of those? And okay, excellent.
Thank you, Chair Hornstein, Representative Petersburg. I will try to answer all 3 questions. So again, when it comes to our deputy registrars have been our partners through this entire process. We have walked this journey together. This process is a learning process for all of us. There are some places where the deputy registrars will lessen their workload. There are some places where the mailing costs might go down. The learning curve, however, with the new system is certainly there for all of us. When it comes to the second piece around the contract, absolutely, it is our foremost focus we are on schedule for a contract both for phase 2 with SAS as well as for the operations and maintenance portion of the contract with SAS. And then I want to remember the third point
Cost.
that
It was
you.
about cost.
It had to do with the extension for Real ID and whether or not we
Yes,
needed to
yes.
do something.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we have had your support. I know that we are asking for the 2.4 million for Real ID to be carried forward for this next fiscal year. So that request is in from the department. It would be the same dollars. Because of COVID, we certainly, and the hiring freeze, of course, this last year, we are asking for the same funds that have been canceled back to the system to be reappropriated to us. And we are hoping for your support on that. Yeah,
and
thank you.
Thank you. And Representative Petersburg and members, a week from today, we're going to be taking a look at the governor's budget for the Department of Public Safety, which of course is inclusive of DVS and inclusive of some of the items that Ms. Corey talked about. One very last quick question that I have, Ms. Corey, from time to time, we get requests for special plates in this committee. And I think last year, I think we kind of decided to put those off because of the transition, and just wanted to see, I don't believe, I checked with Mr. Howe, I don't believe any bills have been introduced as of yet. But what would your position be on those special plates at this point?
Chair Hornstein, absolutely. I know how much those mean to the folks that bring them forward. I have had conversations with vets and a lot of different folks. And so again, we are here to serve. We are here to serve you, and we are here to serve those kinds of needs, and we will take them and address them as they come up.
So at this point, the system can handle that. There's no issue. Now, I don't want a torrent of special plates coming necessarily, but you're saying there's no constraint if from your perspective at this point. Okay,
no.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Ms. Corey, for your excellent work, and as always, your thorough answers to member questions and excellent presentation. And we'll probably see you a week from today again.
Thank you, Chair Hornstein. Appreciate it.
Okay, members, we have a slight change in the agenda. We're going to take Representative Burkel's bills first. I know he and his two very special guests have been waiting patiently, and we want to make sure we get their bills in. The bill I'm carrying, we can motion would be to lay that over anyway, so we might be able to start the bill I have. But I really want to make sure we get these two bills out of our committee today. And with that, I wanted to welcome Representative Burkel to his first Transportation, Finance, and Policy Committee hearing. And we welcome you, and thank you so much. Congratulations also on your election, and welcome to our committee. And please let us know. I think we'll take House File 749 first. That's the Roseau County Trunk Highway 11 segment, and that's in honor and memory of Inspector Robert Lobdell. If we can take that one first, or if you have a preference, I have that first in order. Actually, no, I actually have the Richard Magnuson Highway first. Okay. Whatever you want to do, however you want to go, Representative Burkel is fine with me.
We'll do 537 first.
Okay. All right. So, members, I'm going to move House File 537 for re-referral to the Committee on Ways and Means. Welcome to the committee, and it's nice to meet you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of the committee. I appreciate the opportunity to present both of these Memorial Highway bills today. Former Representative Dan Fabian, now Mayor of Roseau, dropped both of them last year, and of course, circumstances of the last session kind of prevented them from moving forward. So House File 537 designates a segment of Trunk Highway 310 as Deputy Richard K. Magnuson Memorial Highway in recognition of one who made the ultimate sacrifice. It's a really important bill to the residents of northwestern Minnesota. And with that, knowing we have a time constraint here, Mr. Chair, I'll stop there and let our testifiers, former Representative Dan Fabian and current Mayor Roseau and retired Officer Bob Tuttle, will give the background.
Representative and Mayor Fabian. Did you want the mayor to go first?
Yeah, let's there we go.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. Apologize for that little technology glitch
Well,
here.
Mr. Mayor, it is so good to see you. And yeah, we always had members. We always had I always had a great friendship with Mayor Fabian, and he's contemplating that now, as you can see. And I've appreciated your service, and I really hope we can get these bills across the finish line for you. I know that the House was very supportive last time. We are hearing these bills relatively early in the session, moving them to Ways and Means in hopes that we can get them to the floor, and they'll also be included in our omnibus bill as well. So, but right now the motion is for Ways and Means. Mayor Fabian, please.
Well, thank you.
Welcome back to the Transportation Committee, and congratulations.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate that. And to the members of the committee, thanks for hearing the bill today. And Mr. Chair, you did mention last year, I'm very appreciative of your support of these two bills during the last session. I know you and I worked together to try to get these across the finish line, but we didn't, and now we're going to do it this year. And I want to thank Representative Burkel for his work and commitment to doing this. And quite frankly, Mr. Chair, I think that retired Officer Tuttle is the person who's put the most work into these. I would appreciate it, Mr. Chair, if you would just accept the fact that I support both of these very, very strongly. They're very important in this area up here. It's not often that you have public servants like these two officers lose their lives in service to us. And I'm very much looking forward to making sure that these memorials are designated and the signs get put in place. And with that, Mr. Chair, if it pleases you, I would ask that Officer Tuttle take the testimony from here. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor Fabian, and Officer Tuttle. Welcome to the Transportation Committee, and please state your name for the record and proceed with it.
Well, Mr. Chair, thank you for this opportunity and for the committee members. My name is Robert John Tuttle. I'm a retired U.S. Border Patrol agent. I retired in July of this year. And enjoying my retirement. But I do want to thank you for the opportunity to discuss Bill 537 on Richard Magnuson. Richard Magnuson was shot and killed in 1978, in August 2nd, 1978, just north of Roseau, the community of Roseau on Highway 310, just north of town. And of course, that we as a community here have known it and have recognized it in various ways. There's been a plaque in the Sheriff's Department for years, but back in 2008, we did dedicate a memorial in Memorial Park in Roseau, which is right next to our Veterans Park. And what was very, very nice about that dedication in 2008 was Deputy Magnuson's parents were still living. They're from International Falls, and we had his parents, his family, siblings, and his fiance. He was engaged at the time, had also attended when we dedicated that memorial. So it was a wonderful time to get their family here. They were very pleased with the memorial dedication that we did in Roseau. And I really see these bills, the HF 537, really just being another extension of doing the right thing and making sure that we honor Mr. Magnuson by by naming a highway after him. I think it's a wonderful opportunity to continue with his memory and his sacrifice for our community up here. So I appreciate it.
Thank you, Officer Tuttle. Are there any questions of either Mayor Fabian or Officer Tuttle or the author, Representative Burkel? I don't see any. Representative Burkel, would you want to say anything in closing for House File 537 before we move it?
Just that I'd urge everyone's support. Understand that the money for this will be privately raised. I know there's a fiscal note, and I think the dollar amount was just over $2,000. But Officer Tuttle and folks in Northwestern Minnesota will be raising the money for these Memorial Highway signs.
Okay, thank you very much. And with that, members, I renew my motion that House File 537 be referred to the re-referred to the Ways and Means Committee. And as all of our votes are remotely, we will have to take the roll. Mr. Dodge.
Chair Hornstein.
Aye.
Vice Chair Cagle.
Aye.
Representative Petersburg.
Aye.
Representative Barr.
Aye.
Representative Bernardi.
Aye.
Representative Elkins.
Aye.
Representative Frederick.
Aye.
Representative Hausman.
Aye.
Representative Heinrich.
Aye.
Representative Kosnick.
Aye.
Representative Mason.
Aye.
Representative Murphy.
Aye.
Representative Nelson.
Aye.
Representative Olson.
Aye.
Representative Richardson. Representative Richardson. Representative Torkelson.
Aye.
Representative West. Representative West.
Sorry. Aye.
There are 16 ayes and 0 nays.
Okay, thank you very much, Representative Burkel. And now you have your second bill, and that will be House File 749, and I will move House File 749 to the committee for re-referral to the Committee on Ways and Means. Representative Burkel for House File 749.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'll be quick. House File 749 designates a segment of Trunk Highway 11 in Roseau County as Patrol Inspector Robert H. Lobdell Memorial Highway. And I'll turn it over to Officer Tuttle and Mayor Fabian to give you the background.
Thank you. Are we muted? Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Thank you, Representative Burkel. I appreciate that. When we get these all done, Mr. Chair, it's only 360 miles up here to Roseau from St. Paul, so I would hope that you'll be here for the dedication. Representative Torkelson has promised me he's going to come up too, so we'll see what happens. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Officer Tuttle.
Welcome back to the committee, Officer Tuttle. Please restate your name for the record.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair and committee. My name is Robert John Tuttle. I'm a retired Border Patrol agent out of Warroad, Minnesota. And I do appreciate your opportunity once again to speak about House File 749 and Robert H. Lobdell. Just like our previous bill, well, kind of unlike our previous bill, Deputy Magnuson was well known in the area. It was fairly recent history. And so people really hadn't forgot about the unfortunate circumstances. But with Robert H. Lobdell, that it was the exact opposite. He was shot and killed on Christmas Day, 1928. And I guess just with time passing and maybe the era of whatever had happened, we had lost it locally as an agency, the information, the history of this man, we had lost it locally as a community. And in 2003, it was brought to our attention and we were able to do some research and find a lot of information on Mr. Lobdell. He was a World War I veteran, grew up in St. Paul, Minnesota, and joined the Border Patrol, the Immigration Service in 1927, was up working in this area and out on duty on Christmas Day, 1928. And he stopped to talk to a gentleman that was walking along Trunk Highway 11. And unfortunately, that man shot him in the head and killed him instantly. With that, we've done a few things here locally. That same monument that I referred to with Deputy Magnuson also has the name of Inspector Lobdell on it as well. And we dedicated that in 2008. And our Border Patrol station in Warroad also has a monument dedicated specifically to Robert Lobdell. Again, this would be another extension of making sure that Mr. Lobdell is never forgotten, and done so in a way that passerbys, travelers on Highway 11 get to see his name, and hopefully with that, Google his name or take some interest into why a highway is dedicated, and to keep him from being forgotten, and for the sacrifice that he made for this country, first as a World War I veteran and then ultimately as a Border Patrol agent. I do appreciate your time on this, and I thank you for allowing me to participate in this.
Thank you, Officer Tuttle. Does anyone have any questions for either Mayor Fabian or Officer Tuttle or the author, Representative Burkel? Representative Torkelson.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative Burkel, for bringing these bills back to us after last year's work on them. And thank you, Officer Tuttle, for your fine presentation. I just want to clear up any rumors that Representative Fabian didn't try hard enough. He really did try, folks. It wasn't really his fault that these didn't get across the finish line last year. We tried every which way. It just wasn't going to get done. I strongly support these bills this year, and I hope that Representative Hornstein and I have the opportunity to travel up to the great city in northern Minnesota where these officers will be honored. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Representative Torkelson. And yes, Representative Fabian has talked a lot about his home communities and counties very often as a frame of reference. And so he has kind of piqued a lot of our curiosity about that region. And so I look forward to traveling there. Members, once again, I will, Representative Burkel, any closing comments, and then we'll take a vote.
Nothing further, Mr. Chair. Just once again, the money will be raised privately, and just want to thank the committee for their yes vote.
Okay, thank you, Representative Burkel. And once again, members, we will have a roll call on this, and we'll ask our committee legislative assistant, Mr. Dodge, to take the roll.
Mr. Chair, this is John.
Oh, hello.
Make sure you renew your motion.
Oh, sorry about that. I renew my motion that, hold on a second here, House File 749 be referred to the Committee on Ways and Means. And with that, members, we will take the roll.
Chair Hornstein?
Aye.
Vice Chair Cagle?
Aye.
Representative Petersburg?
Aye.
Representative Barr?
Aye.
Representative Bernardi?
Aye.
Representative Elkins?
Aye.
Representative Frederick?
Aye.
Representative Hausman?
Aye.
Representative Heinrich?
Aye.
Representative Koznick?
Aye.
Representative Mason?
Aye.
Representative Murphy?
Aye.
Representative Nelson?
Aye.
Representative Olson?
Aye.
Representative Richardson?
Aye.
Representative Torkelson?
Aye.
Representative West?
Aye.
There are 17 ayes and 0 nays.
Well, thank you very much, Representative Burkel. You're 2 for 2. That's a pretty good batting average. And I appreciate your bringing this forward. I appreciate your presence in our committee. And we look forward to seeing you again.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Wonderful to see Representative Fabian again as well. And I should really say Mayor Fabian.
Mr. Chair,
Mayor,
I miss you guys. I do kind of miss you guys from time to time, but I do get a little fix every now and then on TV. And when you come up to do this next summer, I promise it'll be warmer. As we're sitting here, I just looked at my phone. For the first time in 11 days, we have a temperature here that's above zero.
Yeah. Same here, but probably not as, I don't think we had as bad as you did, but it was pretty chilly down here. So thank you. Members, we're 5 minutes out from adjournment, and I'd rather not go through this bill. It's not terribly controversial, but there are 6 sections to it. And instead of just starting now, we will get to the next House file at another time. I'll be talking with Mr. Howe about that bill. That's the DVS policy bill. And, so with that, members, if there's no other questions, that bill will just be laid over for a future committee. I guess we'll continue. I guess it's officially that bill will be continued. If there are no other questions, just a little preview of some upcoming meetings. We will have an informational hearing, kind of our last in our series of informational hearings. This one will be on electrification of the transportation infrastructure. That's coming up on Thursday. And then next week, we'll have a number of bills. We will actually have one more next week on issues related to the disability community and pedestrian safety. And then we'll be really starting our exclusively hearing bills from here on out and starting to put together our finance bill. So if there's no other questions or comments, this meeting of the Transportation Finance and Policy Committee is adjourned.